Jessica Monroe ruled the catwalk. With her striking blonde hair, piercing blue eyes, and flawless figure, she was the envy of the fashion world. Celebrated by high-end designers and adored by paparazzi, she lived a life of glitz and glamour. Yet behind the dazzling facade lurked a dark truth. Jessica's arrogance was inseparable from her deep-seated racist beliefs. Raised in a strict, prejudiced Southern household, she had always clung to the notion that white beauty and success were evidence of inherent superiority. In every confident stride, in every smirk, she made sure the world understood that she looked down on anyone who didn't mirror her own skin tone. On a balmy Parisian evening, as the City of Light celebrated her latest runway triumph, Jessica was at the pinnacle of her career. The show was a spectacle, a blend of high fashion and celebrity excess. But amid the cheers and flashing cameras, a sinister twist of fate awaited her. After the show, as champagne still sparkled in the air, Jessica was struck by an unbearable pain. Dizziness overtook her, and within minutes, her flawless image shattered as she collapsed. Paramedics rushed to her side, but time was merciless. Jessica Monroe was clinically dead for 30 harrowing minutes. In the liminal space between life and death, Jessica awoke to a surreal and chilling realm. She found herself before a towering, golden gate set against an endless expanse of darkness. No serene angels greeted her, only an ominous voice that resonated with authority and sorrow. Jessica Monroe, your life was built on pride and prejudice. Now, witness the consequences of your cruelty. The gate transformed into a vast, shifting screen, replaying every moment of her life in excruciating detail. She saw herself sneering at a young black model backstage, her cold words reducing the hopeful girl to silent tears. She relived the instances where she dismissed talented colleagues solely because of their skin color, where her haughty laughter echoed as others suffered. Each memory was a searing reminder of the pain she had inflicted, pain that now, for the first time, she was forced to feel. In a brutal, heart-wrenching moment, the screen shifted. Jessica was no longer the onlooker. She became the victim. She experienced the bitter sting of humiliation, the ache of isolation, and the crushing weight of despair. Every insult, every demeaning remark transformed into a visceral pain that tore through her very soul. Your truth was built on lies, the voice intoned. Now you must feel what others have endured. Overwhelmed by the onslaught of emotions and memories, Jessica's heart shattered. The raw pain of her transgressions cascaded through her being like a relentless storm. In that timeless void, she began to understand. Every act of cruelty had left an indelible scar on others' lives and on her own. The realization was devastating, yet it planted a seed of transformation. Deep within the torment, she sensed a call to atonement, a need to heal not only the wounds of those she had harmed, but also the festering hatred within herself. In a sudden, violent jolt, Jessica was yanked back to the realm of the living. She awoke in a stark hospital room, gasping for air, her body trembling with shock, but nothing could prepare her for the true revelation that awaited. Standing silently at the foot of her bed was Dr. Maya Carter, a brilliant black physician whose presence radiated both strength and compassion. For a fleeting, unbearable moment, Jessica's mind was transported back in time. Memories of a painful past flooded her. She remembered a young Maya, once an aspiring model, who had been mercilessly bullied by Jessica in a cruel act of vanity. The words Jessica had spat back then, branding Maya as inferior, had haunted her ever since. And now, fate had woven an ironic twist. The very person she once degraded was the one fighting to save her life. Dr. Carter's eyes met Jessica's, filled with a quiet intensity. "How are you feeling, Miss Monroe?" she asked softly, her tone neither condemning nor forgiving, simply human. In that moment, guilt and sorrow crashed over Jessica like a tidal wave. I remember you," she whispered, voice cracking with remorse. Maya offered a gentle, enigmatic smile. "We all have a chance to change, Jessica. But the question is, are you ready to face what you truly are?" Haunted by her near-death visions and the piercing gaze of her savior, Jessica found herself at a crossroads. Her once glittering world had crumbled around her. The media dubbed her the living ghost, a fallen idol whose story was now a cautionary tale. Sponsorships evaporated, fashion contracts were terminated, and the lavish parties became a distant memory. In the solitude of her broken existence, Jessica embarked on a journey of painful introspection. She sought out those she had wronged, listening to their stories and witnessing firsthand the scars left by her cruelty. Every encounter was a mirror reflecting her own failures. A young woman whose dreams were dashed by a callous remark. A family torn apart by a single act of disdain. With every tear shed by her victims, the icy layers of her prejudice began to melt away. The path to redemption was not smooth. There were days when the weight of guilt threatened to crush her spirit. But with each step, Jessica discovered a glimmer of hope. In community centers, in humble neighborhoods, far from the bright lights of Paris, she found forgiveness in unexpected places. She began volunteering at shelters, mentoring at-risk youth, and even organizing town hall meetings where stories of pain and resilience were shared. In these moments, Jessica saw the true power of empathy. The very communities she had once scorned welcomed her, not with open arms at first, but with cautious hearts, ready to believe in the possibility of change. As months turned into years, Jessica's transformation became undeniable. One day, in a poignant reunion, she found herself once again in the presence of Dr. Maya Carter. The hospital corridor was quiet, bathed in the gentle light of dawn. Maya's eyes, once filled with guarded caution, now shone with warmth and understanding. "I've been following your journey," Maya said softly. "I see the changes you've made and the lives you've touched. It's not enough to say sorry. One must strive to heal. And you've begun to heal." In that moment, Jessica realized that true forgiveness wasn't about erasing the past. It was about accepting the pain, learning from it, and using it to build a better future. Maya's words, spoken with such grace, ignited in her a fervent resolve to dedicate her life to the cause of justice and compassion. With renewed purpose, Jessica transformed from a fallen star into a relentless advocate for social justice. She traveled across the nation, speaking at schools, universities, and community centers. Her talks were raw and unfiltered, detailing her descent into darkness and her arduous journey back to the light. Her message resonated. We are not born to hate. We are born to learn, to love, and to grow. Every act of cruelty can be transformed into an opportunity for healing. The scars of the past are reminders of what we must never become again. Audiences were moved to tears. Former detractors, skeptical at first, began to see the sincerity in her transformation. Jessica partnered with civil rights organizations, bridging gaps between communities that had long been divided by misunderstanding and fear. With each passing day, she built bridges of empathy that spanned decades of prejudice. Years later, as Jessica looked back on the tumultuous path that had reshaped her destiny, she recognized that her greatest triumph wasn't reclaiming fame. It was the power of change. The model who once thrived on vanity and cruelty had been reborn as a champion of compassion. In a final, soul-stirring address at a global summit on equality, she declared, "I once believed that beauty was skin deep, but I have learned that true beauty radiates from within. Let our scars remind us of our humanity, and let forgiveness light the way forward. We all have the power to transform darkness into hope." The crowd erupted in applause, not for the fallen icon of yesteryear, but for the courageous woman who dared to confront her past, embrace her pain, and inspire a future where love triumphs over hate.